Welcome back, everybody, to Phil's Recap and Review, Better Call Saul, Season 2, Episode 5, Rebecca. And this is an episode that we learn a lot more about a couple of other our characters. We're going to get into all of that. Welcome, everyone that is joining me today, this afternoon, the day after, to talk about some Better Call Saul. Usually we come on right after the episode airs, but I had a little bit of a conflict, so I couldn't come out here right away. But I'm here now this morning to talk about what I just watched in Better Call Saul. I caught the very end of the episode last night, and then I watched the episode again a few minutes ago. My name is Phil the Issues Guy. I will be here talking all about this episode. Joe Dirty Locks possibly will be joining me later in the broadcast if he is available. He'll be messaging me or jumping in the live chat when he is around. And if not, we'll touch base with Joe next week and hear his thoughts about this episode. But I'm not alone. I have with me some of my best friends, some of the best people out there. The Friends of Phil, the M&F in chat. And we got two chat rooms going on right now. We got the live chat right here on YouTube itself, where we have Sam and Critch talking up a storm already. And they were in here last night also talking about the episode. We got a few people popping in last night right afterwards to talk about the episode. And we also, on the other side, in chat wing, we have our good friend Nitch, who is in there already discussing, who's giving us some great information about the episode, about the song, about the My Way version that we heard from the Gypsy Kings, if anyone's wondering. And I'm going to download that song because I love that. Just little moments like that is what makes that show so excellent for me. I know it seems like a little touch, but it reminded me, gave me a reminiscent feeling of parts of The Big Lebowski when we're seeing the Hotel California version. I don't know. There's just something about the way that this team shoots something and makes it look. It's just hugely cinematic, hugely. So many shows people discuss, they go, oh, this is a slow-moving show. And some people use that as a definition to describe something as a negative term. I feel like this show turns that completely on its ass. Anyone who says the term slow show or something that's slow is necessarily bad. No, sometimes slow is great. If you have a real tasty piece of food and you want to eat it, sometimes people you like to eat it quick. You eat it really, really quick. But this show is something that you can eat and you take every bite in your mouth and you feel every bite. Storylines don't close. We don't really have the traditional sense of storytelling going on in this on this show. Like this episode, for example, for whatever it's worth, Jimmy was great in the episode. It was great to see Bob Odenkirk. It always is great to see Bob Odenkirk. But to me, this episode, from an acting performance, all of that standpoint, was completely stolen and completely focused intentionally, but warranting this to have an episode completely dedicated to Chuck, essentially, in Kim's perspective. Especially someone like Chuck, who we've looked at as such a negative force in Jimmy's life, or someone that's maybe jealous of Jimmy. We've constantly talked about that. Why is Chuck being the way he is? Excuse me. What is it about? What did Jimmy do to Chuck to make him look at him that way? And we get that information in this episode when we hear about their father and everything that happened with that. So such a great show that immediately when you think you know who the good guys and who the bad guys are, and I'm putting air quotes up, essentially it throws it on its ass and shows you have no clue what the fuck is going on. And that's one of the things I love more about this show is there isn't any clear definition of the good guys and the bad guys, so to speak. And you can say that about a lot of shows, but even more, this show gives it to you so many different ways in and out. For instance, in this situation, in this episode, we went all last season thinking Howard was this big cock merchant dick guy that constantly was probably the force, Jimmy's main antagonistic force in the show. And then we ultimately learn at the end that it's really Chuck. In this episode, you feel for Chuck, at least me, I feel for Chuck, and I thought Howard was a dick again. Seeing how pissed off he is that Kim made him look stupid, so he needs to push her down. It isn't Chuck, as Jimmy was projecting, that wants to suppress Kim. It's Howard that wants to slap her on her wrist and make sure she knew she did bad. It's really interesting and puts Howard into a fucked up position. And I can't wait to get more into this episode. Freddie's in the chat now, too. Oh, we got Weak Groove. And Weak Groove was in the chat last night. Like, what the fuck is this timer going on? Why weren't you out here last night? And I highly apologize. As I mentioned at the beginning of the Better Call Saul season, and Vikings for that matter, any of the late shows, the ones that we do, the 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time starts, that we would be starting the podcast at 11, occasionally, a few weeks here and there, they will be on the next day. And I can't lie, Better Call Saul, more than some other shows, is something I honestly don't even... There's some part of it to be able to take a day and really take in everything that happens in the episode isn't always a bad thing. I like coming out right away, and we'll be back 95% sure next week, right after the episode airs. But occasionally, because of certain commitments that might pop up, evening commitments or morning commitments, we might need to do these podcasts of Vikings and Better Call Saul during the day. That is something that might pop up from time to time. But if you want to join in the discussion and you're watching this live, jump in one of the live chat rooms, either Chatwing, chatwing.com/I've got issues, man. And then we also have the amazing people in the motherfucking issues chat live on YouTube. Freddie says, love this episode. Hey, Sam says, I feel for Chuck in this episode, but I still don't like that bastard. Oh, Minecraft Mama. Welcome, Minecraft Mama. Johnny Bad. Best show since the leftover. John, I haven't seen you in a while, but I love you, Johnny. Great to see you. And I agree. This is one of, if not right currently now on television, I can't say enough how much I like the show. We talk about a lot of shows here on Phil's Recap and Review. A lot of past shows, a lot of new shows. To me, this is right up there for my taste with Game of Thrones as my favorite show on television right now. And I know it's a shame to me because this show isn't getting the kind of ratings that I think it deserves to get. And I know that's hard to say because, something just deserves what it gets, Phil. Don't project. And I'm not saying people don't get. I'm just saying it's Breaking Bad never really got great ratings till the last season either. If you look at the Breaking Bad breakdown, Breaking Bad breakdown of ratings, they didn't really get lots of crazy ratings until the last season. So to kind of create a whole new thing, and as much as, yes, we have Tio Hector Salamanca popping up in this episode, we see the cousins in the preview for next week. What the shit's going on here? But as much as we have all those Breaking Bad things, this is a different show and a different audience than Breaking Bad. It needs to build its own audience over time. And AMC is, I think, very loyal to Vince Gilligan in the way that, say, FX wasn't to Kurt Sutter in that piece of shit show that he did, Bastard Executioner. But the show should have been loyal to him for making Sons of Anarchy so great. I think they probably would have if Kurt wanted to continue to do that. I have a feeling that AMC will probably let Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould do the show as long as they want to do it. I don't think the show is in any danger of being canceled due to ratings. That being said, it's not quite getting the crazy viewership. A lot of people that were into Breaking Bad, or especially the people that got into Breaking Bad later, are going to the show and having trouble with it because there's not enough action and there's not this and there's no heroes and there's no this. I hear you. I just hope this audience finds its shows. People that like shows like True Detective Season 1, things like that have a slower burn to it, because I feel like everything that we're doing right now is going to have extremely huge, amazing payoffs at the end, simply to the point of thinking about where the Mike storyline's gone from beginning to end. Like where Mike is right now and everything we're seeing with Mike has me so amazingly nervous and excited. And it's really pushing the envelope of what I love right now. And then the Jimmy stuff, to me, is a good counterpoint to what's going on with the Mike stuff. We really have a 2-star show here, and I can't say enough great things about this program right now. So let's jump in the motherfucking chat right now. Let's see. Howard is a pig fucker again, says FJ. Welcome, FJ. Even in the good times, Rebecca, he showed his dickish tendencies. Howard is a pig fucker, but seriously, I could not dislike Chuck at all after this episode, albeit trying to figure out Howard and Chuck's game of good cop, bad cop. Critch says, Corey, is that the warm or cold pie? It makes a difference. We're talking about Squat Cobbler. Johnny Bad. Hi, Sam. I disagree. Howard has to punish someone for the fudge up. He has put his neck on the line for Kim, and Kim vis-a-vis Jimmy. KLC, welcome, buddy. Sam says, FJ, one of my old bosses, just like Howard in this episode, so I feel for Kim having to deal with his dickish, pompous lawyer. week. Based on my social groups, almost everyone lost interest based on last season. That is very true, that what you're saying. I'm just going to run through the chats really quick. And Corey, I could understand why Howard would be pissed, though. His perspective made sense. Corey, still, though, it's the best written show on TV, and we're just kind of an ADD society, instant gratification. Oh, yeah, I feel part of Howard trying to authoritize him is trying to please Chuck, and it works for Chuck too, so he doesn't get his hands dirty. KLC says, in season 1, I like Jimmy's story better. It's opposite this season. And to just go on the point of what Week said and what someone said, what Corey said, and essentially what KLC said, for me, in some of my interactions with people that really loved Breaking Bad, it's not, I wouldn't say in our show circle for the most part, but I used to do, when we first started out on this channel, it was myself and my cousin Gotti that we would do Breaking Bad recaps. The very first thing on this channel was the end half of Breaking Bad, a recap of that. So I was hugely into Breaking Bad, and going into Better Call Saul, I had a large group of people that were so pumped about it and built it all out. Oh my goodness, Better Call Saul. And a lot of those people that went into it like that, my cousin Gotti being the first, he's tried watching Better Call Saul several times, but he says, I can't. It just drives me crazy. I have trouble not, and I says to his face, come on, dude. Come on, dude. What the hell? What's wrong? I want to be like that. Just watch it. It's fucking great. But you can't tell people what they like and what they don't like. Some things just turn people off in the wrong way, and anticipation and hype is the death of pretty much everything. And I agree with what somebody said in the chat, that to me, this is probably, if not one of the best written shows on television for my purposes of entertainment. It does everything I want it to do. It scratches me when I need it to scratch. It makes me laugh when I need to laugh. It makes me go, holy shit, when I need to go, holy shit. And it doesn't feel like anything isn't justified on the show. And I think that's the key to me. Not the show justified, or just meaning that it should be there. Every line, everything that we have, there's not wasted moments. And if there are wasted moments, this is going to be, I'm going to be a hypocrite. When there are wasted moments, it's actually for something. So I personally love it. That being said, I can see why this show isn't everybody's taste, especially people that build up Breaking Bad so much in their mind and almost romanticize what happened in Breaking Bad. You rewatch Breaking Bad, it's an action-filled show, but it's a slow burn. It builds up slow. It's not action in the way that you watch some other shows in that people could like all the same kind of grouping of shows. Breaking Bad was sort of a slow show too, in a good way, in a way that you studied and everything built up. You know, you see a plane crash at the beginning of a season. It's a slow burn to figure out what the fuck just happened there. So again, same great cooks cooking a different awesome meal. I'm only going on this rant right now because I've seen a lot of reports this week of, oh, Better Call Saul, losing interest with people, ratings, suffering, yada. And I don't want to see that negativity. And I also don't want to see this show turn into one of those shows where, oh, the critics like it, so it's highbrow. Oh my God, you guys only like it because I don't think it's that either. I think the show has an amazing ability to not talk over its audience's head as well, with at the same time being so well crafted and so well written that I don't feel like it talks down to anybody. Anyways, let's jump into the chat. So far, my favorite has been Mike episode from last season, says Freddie. Corey says, I think with Breaking Bad, there was more of a intermittent sense of danger with authority rival drug. 100%, Corey. The stakes essentially felt higher. I think that's what they're trying to do with Mike this season, is show you the stakes, but it's difficult because you know Mike survives, so it becomes a little less warranted. I think with Breaking Bad, some of it became about the conclusion to see how it all finishes. With Better Call Saul, it's more about the journey at times. I think Breaking Bad was about the journey too, but a lot of the questions that drove Breaking Bad was, how's Walter going to make through this? Is he going to die? Is he going to kill this person? Is he going to kill that person to get his ultimate goal? What's going to happen? With Better Call Saul, you know that it's prequelitis in the sense of the stakes of it, but it does, to me, becomes one of those shows that's more about the journey rather than the outcome. I never was able to get into Breaking Bad. I love Better Call Saul, though. Tim Gersh from our very own Tim Gersh says the same thing. He likes Better Call Saul a lot more than he likes Breaking Bad. Part of it's personal reasons he has against Breaking Bad, but I've heard that from a few people. You're not the only person that said that. Oh, some people say they like the nature, they like the more lighthearted. Saul and Mike are both more likable than Walt ever was. I've heard that too, because Walt, you can say what you want about Walt. Jesse, hugely likable. Badger skinny fit, hugely likable. Bryan Cranston, amazing actor, very likable. Walter White, pretty suited to the series. You hate that son of a bitch, or at least I did. I fucking wanted to punch that asshole in the fucking mouth. I love both for entirely different reasons, says Sam. Corey says, but let's not forget the second season of Breaking Bad. They were slow building. Hugely agree with you, Corey. Slow burn. I heart pro wrestling terminology. Yeah, thank you for doing that. And whenever I say the irresistible force meets the immovable object, it's a gorilla monsoon from my 80s wrestling days fandom. Oh my God, and here we go with Tuco, the immovable object, facing off against Mike, the irresistible force. In the middle of the ring, will Hogan slam Andre? Johnny Bad. I love the ending of the episode when Mike gets to grit his teeth. Damn, what I get myself into. And absolutely, that was one of the moments, and we don't see it often, with Mike being off kilter. Off fucking kilter. Oh, Nitch says, bandwidth's no good, keeps cutting out. I have to download the episode when we're done. I'm sorry, Nitch. Nitch got a new computer. They've been having trouble. I've just realized, I'm like, Nitch, boy, girl? I'm not sure right now. Holy shit. But they've been having trouble. They got a new computer and everything like that. So they're hoping things would work out today, but we'll have to download the episode. So one thing I can say, I sure like Kim better than Skylar. Oh gosh, I love the big mother freaking Kev. Welcome, buddy. Welcome, big Kev. Great to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping in. Yeah, my favorite team was the original. Sorry, just to go on a quick wrestling rant. I loved the early wrestling shows that had Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan as a team, or sometimes you'd have Jesse the Body Ventura when it was the was it the original Raw maybe or whatever it's called? Anyways, so okay, so the more we learn about Jimmy McGill and everything like that, his disregard for the rules, we understand where Chuck's coming from, but he's still a fucking dick. Excuse me, to do the Walter line, another Big Lebowski reference. You may be right, Chuck, but you're still an asshole. Corey. Lily says, great Kim episode. She's one of my favorite female characters, a close second to Brienne of Tarth. Sam says, and because she's grown up and makes her own decisions and done things like soliciting clients, she yells at Jimmy, but it's somewhat okay for her. Johnny Bad says, damn, Phil, you have amazing skills of being able to talk, entertain us, and chat at the same time. Oh, thank you. That, to me, that's the best part about it. Sometimes I'll get a little confused by it at times, but if you sometimes see me just kind of get into a panic mode, I'm like, it's usually not because I don't know what to say, because I'm a talking mess. I could just keep talking endlessly. It's when I get distracted by other things. I am a hippie. I'm easily just, whoa, is that? You know what I'm saying. I have my moments. Here we go. Oh, the Bobby the Brain Heenan was the best. I also like Jesse the Body Ventura, someone who was in politics, and I think it's very apropos to talk about Jimmy. Jesse the Body Ventura used to have an old saying, win if you can, try if you must, but always cheat. And I think there's some element of Jesse the Body Ventura, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman's fighting his bad boy stuff and is trying to be a face, essentially here. Is trying to be a good guy. Is trying to do things that's not him. And even when he tries to do it, this episode's all about that. When is it Kim that challenges him? I challenge you to, for one fucking day, just one goddamn fucking day, you be a good guy. You obey the rules. And when we see him with his little babysitter, the little pixie girl or whatever he calls her, I have written in the notes somewhere. Wait, aren't you a fun little pixie or something? I have some notes on my phone today. So ultimately, it's just really funny to see him when he's trying to be good, he can't help not be good. And also, it's the comparison that Chuck put at one point in time when he refers to him as someone with an addiction problem. And there is, I just got flashed with a line from How I Met Your Mother when Barney goes to Atlantic City and wins a bunch of money. And he has a gambling problem. And they go to, and Barney's like, I really love gambling. Why can't I do it a little? And I think whether everybody knows that or not, that was a situation where I think that girl pointed out and kind of called Jimmy for who he was in that moment and said, you can't help but do this. And this might not be that big of a deal to give somebody a stuffed animal, but it's still bribery, and you need to not even do any minute. Jimmy, it did not equate to Jimmy. It's a Carmela Soprano thing. When the teacher yells at Carmela for her Soprano spoiler, Carmela has this interaction with a teacher at a point in time in the series. And in that situation, she thinks he's her friend. There's more to it, but I won't get too far into it. He thinks she's her friend. So she's, oh, you got to do this for me. Do this XYZ thing for me. Help my son out. Make this happen. Make that happen. And then when he calls her on it, she goes, well, that's just what friends do. They do things for each other, right? They manipulate and fuck with people to help their own other people's agenda, correct? That's what friends do, right? And Jimmy has that kind of vibe about him. Oh, that's what friends do, right? Oh my gosh. Chuck's babysitter is Ninja Pixie. Thank you, miss. Thank you. Thank you. KLC, I will get to that in a little bit. Corey says, I love Chuck's quote, Jimmy has a good heart. He can't help himself. Much akin to a moth to the flame. Jimmy dances in a morally gray, flexible area and has to go against his authority. Jimmy is ethics blind. Corey says, she was far too into the right zone. Jimmy's Nazi babysitter. Yeah, Erin, the Nazi babysitter. What is this, a prison camp? Yeah, and the Beanie Baby bribe was super awkward. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You're still entertaining when you get lost. Oh, thank you, Lily of the Valley. I appreciate that. I try to balance it off with shared goofiness to even when I get lost or frustrated, there'll be some point of goofiness. Corey says, I disagree. I do not think Chuck is a dick. If he saw Jimmy burn down his father's business, the last thing he'll probably want to do is see Jeremy burn down Hamlin, a company he built. So Jimmy is ethics blind. Okay, and let's jump in. We also have a text. Let's jump over to our text that says, I love this episode. This show keeps getting better and better. Please, 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 people, start watching this show. Someone says. We've actually got 2 voicemails. Let's listen to our first voicemail.
Hey, it's KLC. Good morning, you guys. But I just wanted to call and say, I feel like some people may have dropped off with Better Call Saul because it does suffer from prequelitis. It has to introduce you to characters and continue the plot. You know, it has to introduce characters for those who haven't watched Breaking Bad. And I think that's why some Breaking Bad fans dropped off. But for people who haven't watched Breaking Bad, or like, you know, my younger brother who watched Breaking Bad, I mean Better Call Saul first, Better Call Saul was a great introduction to the characters. So I think that's just one of the things Better Call Saul had to overcome as a prequel. And I personally think they did a good job, but I think some people just couldn't take them reintroducing Jimmy.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's what we were talking about in the sense of over expectations, and people have their perspective of what the Breaking Bad universe is, because from those shows, from Breaking Bad, you're 95% of the time seeing it from Walter's perspective. Sometimes you see it from, I think it's maybe a little less than that, probably like 80%. And there's a couple of Jesse moments where you really see things from Jesse's perspective. To see the same world looked at through different eyes, it's a different animal. And that's why it's creating a new audience. And kind of what I was saying at the beginning, that I'd love for the show to formulate completely its own audience aside from Breaking Bad people. And I think it's doing that right now. The 2 or so million people that watch this show every week love it for what it is. And I think occasionally you get people turning back in expecting to see the meth trade going on, and it's just not there. And that's not to say other people can't dislike it for other reasons, but I do think there is a big element of that, of people can't help some people that have tried this show and have failed us now and have not enjoyed it. I don't think they can help but even on without realizing it level, be comparing it to Breaking Bad. And that's difficult to do when I think they're just completely different animals and a different mindset you go into watching them. And I think Better Call Saul is just such an excellent prequel. It's just hard to counterbalance that. Let's listen to, we have a call from New York.
Yeah, how you doing? I was trying to call into the live chat. I don't know if it was before, but it's an excellent fucking show. Yeah, I just wanted to make a point on what he's talking about right now. I'm actually watching him live. All right.
Awesome. You left your number, but I don't want to read it on the air. But if you want to give a call back now, buddy, I would love to have your call. 781-990-8509. The phone line is open. Thank you, my friend from New York. Give it a call. I'd love to hear your thoughts on your lunch break. I just cut off your message earlier because I didn't want to put your number out there. So you put your number out in the in the message. I could try to let me try that. If you were still watching, my friend, I absolutely would love to have you call back. So, anyways, let's continue. It's the Chuck plot that's turning people off, says Week. Very, very interesting point. It could be the Chuck plot that's turning people off. It could be the fact that Jimmy essentially into the show becomes not so much of a main character. I mean, he is the main character, but the show really has evolved into more of a wider angle character piece of looking at a lot of different characters, not quite the level of like The Wire or something where that's a complete overlooking piece. You can say Jimmy McNulty was the star of that show, but essentially he wasn't. There was a lot of other elements that were stars of the show. Sam says the whole show is about Jimmy's transition to Saul, so I don't think it's reasonable for people to be expecting the Breaking Bad universe without fully understand where Jimmy is coming from. Great point. Once I was working in an outbound call center and I called a lady in July who was listening to Bing Crosby music and kept yelling that she was making pancakes. I compared that lady to people might be meth on the lawyer shows. I've seen enough Law and Order to make me want to leap on the shop options. Great stuff going on in the chat right now, as always. And I do think essentially some people might be tuning off the show because they don't know these characters that we're not seeing. They're completely unfamiliar with some of these people that we're looking at, and they're like, oh, I thought this was a Breaking Bad sequel. And I'm sorry, I'm just messing around with the chat room right now. I can't stay Law and Order. It's the Chuck plot turning people off court. Jimmy is not that very paragon of you. Jimmy's renegade for life, says Corey Mitchell. So I think that just in general, just to get through it, I want people to watch this show. I don't want to ever be afraid of something like this show not being able to get its chance to tell its full story. And considering what AMC has done with Better Call Saul, I do with Breaking Bad, and allowed it to have room to grow. I hope they really do that. Welcome to the show, caller. Welcome.
Bill, how you doing, man? Yo, I started watching you a few weeks back, man. I love your show, man.
Dude, thank you for calling in. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? I sent you actually a text earlier. Breaking Bad to me is an awesome show, but I watched it on a binge, man, because I'm a little old. I got kids like in their late teens, and they were like, "Dad, you got to watch this show." To me, Better Call Saul is more of a real show. Like if you got like an older sister and an older brother, some of us have that. I'm one of the people that have that. That it was successful. I was more of the party guy. You know what I'm saying? So I can relate. Not that my sister was bad to me, but you know, it's just something like you could. You got more feeling. Like I identify with these characters.
Dude,
element of Breaking Bad. You get what I'm saying?
Dude, excellent point in the sense that Better Call Saul sets up real life situations, like things that people can really relate to. And I know people can relate to getting sick and cancer and things like that, and feeling like when you get sick, you want to protect your family, like in Breaking Bad. But essentially, we're dealing in the underworld with magic blue meth, with people cooking. Whereas Better Call Saul deals with relationships between.
And dude, how about Mike? Huh? A little guy like that. I tell you, I know a lot of people like Mike. I grew up on the streets in the Bronx and in Brooklyn and New York. The little tough guy that you have to watch out for. Yeah. And I tell you, I knew. He did let his guard down, though. Now, I know you're not really talking about the show right now.
No. Keep going.
He did let his guard down. He let his guard down because you knew somehow, as connected as Tuco is, that this wasn't going to be the end of it.
100%, dude.
But I love where it's going, and I personally, this is a prediction. I don't want to spoil it for anybody because obviously I have nothing to do with the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have to take out Nacho at one point. I think Nacho is going to turn against him, and then that's how I think it's all going to play, man. But I want to continue listening and let other people get in on it. You do an excellent fucking job, man.
Dude, thank you. You're the fucking best. Great to talk to you, my friend.
All right, bro.
Dude, that was a great new caller. Thank you so much. I had some excellent points about that. And I agree. I've grown up in enough situations too where you see people like Mike that are just the quiet ones. It's always the quiet ones you got to worry about. And I think this episode was really fun to see Mike outside of his normal situation. And I agree with you essentially that eventually Mike is going to need to solve some problems. If Mike's gonna hope to make it through the situation alive and not in jail, he's gonna need to probably rat out Nacho, and we're probably gonna see that. We got another caller in the show. Welcome to the show, caller. Can you hear me, my friend? One more time, and caller with the 806 area code, definitely call back. We have KLC. Welcome to the show, KLC.
Hey, I know that you're a little bit worried about the show, but I mean, I don't think you can swear at all because it's got a good 2 million average, and shows like Let's Just Tomorrow, that show is totally expensive to produce, and that only gets 2 million views. So I think Saul just fine is going to get his full run.
Thank you, KLC. You made me a happy man. Area code 806. Please give a call back. The phone lines are still open. Let's jump in the chat. I freaked out when I saw Tio Salamanca at the end. Corey says, also I got the sense during the flashback that Chuck was way jealous of Jimmy's charisma. We're gonna get into that. GOAT, greatest of all time, absolutely. Phil, just a heads up, Rotten Tomatoes ratings are critic 94 and audience is 98. Great job, Phil. Keep it up. I love your Ehrmantraut, one of my favorite, Breaking Bad. Welcome to the show, 806. How's it going?
Good.
Great to hear from you.
Sweet. I have a question.
Absolutely. Shoot.
When do you think Rick's old ass is finally going to die?
Where do I think that? Whose ass is going to die?
Rick?
Pretty fucking soon. I think it will be a little bit of a little while, but eventually he will fucking die. I think it's coming. It's fucking coming. I think when he's done with the show, he'll want to die, just to go on that one. So Mike is a total he's amazing. Mike is total ISTJ personality trait. He is amazing. For season 2 so far, I love Ehrmantraut, one of my favorite Breaking Bad characters. Yes, the season so far is awesome, and each episode keeps getting better and better. Thank you so much for the calls. Phone lines are off for a second. So here we go. Let's get into our general recap of the episode. Now that we're through some of this babble fest at the beginning, let me get through the notes over here. Again, thank you so much to some of our new callers that we've had today, this afternoon. I really appreciate our friend from New York. I need to start asking when people call. I need to go, name. I have to go, what's your name? Where you calling from? Or I don't have to say the where you're calling from, but I have to get all Larry King a little bit more because I realize I call people, hey, you caller person, don't know your name, yada, yada, yada. So I need to get a little bit more polite, a little bit more whatever. And as many people have been pointing out since the last Sunday, as we're getting more and more of you great people that I want to get you guys as part of the show as much as possible, I need to figure out the phone system a little bit better. And we will figure that out over the little bit. So... Okay, Rebecca was written by a new writer written by Anne Chekris or whatever. I'm sorry, I'm reading some notes that don't really matter, and directed by this guy named John. It begins by showing a light, giving us more of a focus on where Chuck comes from. Excuse me, quite literally. Chuck is changing a light bulb, something before he gets into the whole electrical, having problem with electric waves or something like that, but he's changing a light bulb. Great way for it to start. He puts on a record, a jazz record, of course. He's classy. He's in a classy situation. They're highbrow. They're in a kitchen. We see a woman cooking a meal, cooking some risotto. Chuck gets some sheet music in the foreground, in the dark. They go back and forth, and they talk about how the time they spent in Florence and how listen, when this buddy comes here, let's do the Carol Burnett thing. Let's give your signal. Everyone that's in a couple, or if you're friends with somebody, you've gone into a public place and you've realized you want to make some sort of symbol or sign to let somebody know when you want to get out. A safe word, for instance. So Chuck is figuring out his safe word with his wife, Rebecca, and doing sort of a tap to the side of the head. And they're talking about a soon-to-arrive dinner guest. He's an acquired taste, Chuck says. And immediately we get in that we see right from the beginning that Chuck has an avergence to his brother. He looks at his brother in a way that no one else does. You can think about that. Some people take me out in public. One of my friends thinks I'm annoying, take me out in public. The people I'm meeting first time, I think I'm entertaining and charming. Oh, yeah, Phil, you're awesome. My friend could be looking at me like, God, this guy's fucking annoying. I'm sorry for Phil. Well, no, Phil's fine. And it was a situation like that. I think everyone's been in those situations. You worry about your friend bringing that friend, or you're somebody that's a loudmouth to a situation. They end up ruling the room and running the room. And you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, they're embarrassing me, or I'm annoyed by this. And this is what's going on with Chuck in this moment. Jimmy shows up, and ultimately I think his wife is completely 100% charmed by Jimmy. Thinks Jimmy is the Corey. Did you like how I handled that situation, Corey? For your fodder comment, Thomas up. I'm planning on binge watching the first season in the post-episode recaps. I'll catch up with you guys, says Tom. Sam says, this scene made me cringe more at Chuck because he's so goddamn pretentious. Sam says, like specifically flavored fish risotto, yo-yo ma, fine china, etc., etc. Chuck's wife would totally let Jimmy hit it. I let Jimmy hit it. He's a charmer. Oh my goodness. And I want to say something that I meant to comment on this as well when we had our New York caller. He made a great point about Breaking Bad and binge watching. I binge watched Breaking Bad too. I watched the first couple of episodes, and I binge watched up to season 4, and then I watched season 4, the second half of season 4 and season 5, all episode to episode. But there is something to be said about the binge watching aspect of Breaking Bad and the romanticizing of binge watching and the way that all fits. And I think a lot of people that did watch and catch up with Breaking Bad binge watching. Oh, Better Call Saul's on now, and then you go into the process of watching something week to week. And I think Better Call Saul is going to be one of those shows that I think is going to be a very good binge watching show too when we eventually get to that point. It's just the way everything goes into each other, and then being able to watch both series simultaneously and really pay attention to every little moment that's going on without thinking, oh, okay, I want to see what's happening. Well, that next week sort of feeling. Better fuck Chuck. I binged watched it too. I don't think it really took off until the Walter versus Gus stuff in season 4. That's when it really started to get tension. I mean, I would say there are certain elements before that, but it is to use the term again, it is a slow burn leading up to that. And that's not a bad thing. That's just a good thing. Oh, Tom from New York City. Welcome. Okay, so Tom is the dude from welcome to. Thank you to the motherfucking chat letting me know who people are. So Tom is our caller from New York. Thank you, Tom. You're the fucking best, buddy. Very much enjoyed your call. Okay, so here we go. We've got some awesome people from Brazil in the chat. We got KLC, Jose, Johnny Bad. I'm just looking in the chat. And as also, we have all fucking awesome people. So if you're listening to this later, please join us after the episodes. Sometimes Better Call Saul recaps will be the next day in the afternoon. Like I've mentioned several times, I like doing these afternoon casts sometimes, as there's a whole different group of people there's some people that can't always make it. And I also like being fresh-eyed in the morning talking about Better Call Saul. It's one of those shows that's good to kind of really be when talking about it. So sometimes our recaps will be on right after the show, and then sometimes it will be on the next morning around noontime. So if we do any daytime shows, we'll usually start around noon Eastern Standard Time. So thank you everybody that's been checking us out at an off time this week, as we'll get back into our recap here. So she responds how bad things can be. The doorbell rings and Jimmy's early, of course. Chuck is grumbly already, and he looks at his brother, who is trying to do something really nice. We've all been in this situation, going all Lily and Martin. Oh, look, I got a 6-pack from where you were born. Holding a 6-pack and says, I got this. This is your old favorite beer, something like that, he says. And he goes, holy shit, look at this place, as they sit down for dinner. Jimmy says it's the best meal he's had in decades. He apologizes for missing the wedding that Yo-Yo Ma was there, who is a violin player, was considered one of the best violin players of all time. Am I completely destroying who Yo-Yo Ma is? People can tell me in the chat if I completely killed that, but I'm pretty sure we hear that Rebecca, who is the name on the piece of music that Chuck was playing 2 episodes ago. So now we know who Rebecca is Chuck's wife. was not just a great cook, but also an amazing musician. And we get a Yo-Yo Ma reference that, and I love Jimmy's reaction to that. Right on, dude. He just gives him the McConaughey. Right on. Celloist. Thank you. Not violin, cello. Thank you. Somewhere my friend Laurel is turning over in her grave, my ex, who was a cello player, who definitely has played that for me in the past and hammered in my mind. She's watching this podcast one day later on in life and be like, fucking Phil's an idiot. He never remembers anything I tell him. This is why we broke up. You can't even remember who Yo-Yo fucking Ma is, Phil. So I love it. A cellist. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Tom, specifically because The Walking Dead airs here in Brazil like an hour after it does in the United States. Oh, about why people can't always join us right afterwards. She was also boring as fuck, but moving on now. Zombies have a larger audience appeal than attorneys. Compared this to The Walking Dead is like comparing apples to bowling balls. Sorry about the surprise. Oh, no fucking problem. Phil knows as much as Jimmy does about it. Yeah, exactly. Phil's like, yeah, right on. Can we get back to listening to some Bob Marley? Yeah. What were you talking about? You look really hot in that dress, Laurel. Tell me again about Yo-Yo Ma. I think that was my experience. So Chuck's like, right on, dude. Does the Big Lebowski thing. Fucking A, man, cry. So then Jimmy goes into telling Rebecca about his new job at Hamlin and McGill in the mailroom. All that pretentious Yo-Yo Ma shit's just cringeworthy, said Sam. So Rebecca, he tells Rebecca about his new job in the mailroom. He shares with her the lawyer jokes that he heard. And what's the difference between a vacuum cleaner and a lawyer? The vacuum cleaner has the dirt bag on the inside. I forget what some of the other ones were. I didn't get a chance to write them down. There's one about the Godfather or something like that. What do you call a lawyer that's the Godfather? An offer you can understand. What do you call an offer? What's the difference between the lawyer and the Godfather? The lawyer gives you or the Godfather gives you an offer you can understand, something like that. What's the difference between this? How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? So ultimately, through all this, he completely wins over Rebecca, and she starts laughing her ass off at all Jimmy's jokes because Jimmy's charming, and in the moment, in the scene, we just get the feeling, being inside Jimmy's mind in this moment, we see that Jimmy's just feeling uncomfortable because he thinks he's failing in this moment. He's like, oh, shit, I'm doing horribly here. I don't know who Yo-Yo Ma is. I wasn't at the wedding. I had to apologize for that. What can I do here to break the ice? Oh, she seems like she has a good sense of humor on her. Let's try some lawyer jokes. And he just kind of throws it out there, trying to be affable, I think, in the moment. Chuck just immediately starts doing the face thing, putting his hand on his face, trying to signal to his wife that party's over, get this Jimmy the hell out of here. But his wife is noticeably ignoring him. Again, I've been in this situation where I'm at a party I don't want to be in. My girlfriend, whatever girlfriend it is at the time, and we figure out a solution. We figure out the symbol that we're going to do, or whatever we're going to do. And she is enjoying talking to a friend, enjoying talking to my aunt, enjoying talking to a family member that I want to leave the party, whatever. And it goes both ways. I've been in the situation too, where she's making the signs to me, and you avoid the person's eyesight, and his wife is going, oh, not looking, nope. She was doing one of those, and Chuck is getting fucking pissed off. And this is where more of Chuck is just an asshole. Look, he has a problem with Jimmy right from the beginning. He won't even let Jimmy talk to his wife. Loves Jimmy. How can you not love Jimmy? And that's the feeling and this is what's so fucking awesome about the emotions that this show causes. Chuck is a dick, no doubt. Handles things dick-wise. When the whole situation with Kim later, I can't make coffee, make me coffee. Oh, but only reason I'm being nice to you is because you got us work. Chuck's a dick, no doubt. That being said, in this moment, and Jimmy is charming as shit. In this moment, you can't, before the episode does this, I'm putting myself right into Jimmy's shoes in this moment and feeling like that, feeling like, why is Chuck being this asshole? Everyone likes Jimmy. His wife likes Jimmy. What is wrong with you, Chuck? Jimmy was breaking the ice, says Corey. Mr. Wana says, did Rebecca die? I don't think we We might have heard something about that in season 1, but I'm assuming she died, and that's what was the final straw that drove Chuck into his disarray. Maybe he thought, she got cancer or she got sick because of the electromagnetic waves. I'm forgetting if there's anything in season 1 about references to her, but I think the first time we see the name Rebecca is on the sheet music. So I don't think that's been explored yet, but if I'm putting my Miss Cleo hat on, oh, my boys and girls, I'm going to tell you the future. If I'm doing that stuff, I would say I think that it's probably going to lead to the place of her dying, and that's the final straw that sends Chuck into a complete disarray. I think she was a violinist. Did Rebecca die? Jimmy was breaking the ice. Rebecca was getting moist. Chuck was not there for it. Chuck introduced her as such, at least. Would anyone else, LOL, if a piano fell on Rebecca from a 2-story window? Irony. I still want to know why Carol Burnett tugged on her ear. Chuck, please finish the story. Come on, you let us up there. Johnny says, Phil, which girlfriend it was at the time? Carol Burnett was saying goodnight to her grandmother. Yes, she was a violinist, thanks, but what was her fate? Her death was previously mentioned on the show. I don't think she was mentioned. I've done that. I can't lie. I'm one of those people that before I go into a party, whoever my partner in the party is, whether it's Joe and Kate, if I'm going to a situation like that, or whether it's one of my myriad of ex-girlfriends, whoever they are, I always kind of set in the tone. That's why I'm one of those people that once the relationship's over, it's like people are like, oh, Phil's an asshole. You don't really know. Phil's so afraid. Phil hates party. Or when I go to a party, I always have an exit strategy. Okay, when we go in there, if you see me do this, remember, I want to go. I'm such a bad party person when it comes down to it. Put me to play music in front of people, but put me within the people. I'm like, okay, it's the time to go. Yeah, what the fuck? So I always need an exit strategy. He could have pissed her off enough to leave. I think she died after a long illness. Can't remember why I assume this. Critch, I'm the same way. I don't know why I think that, but I'm leading to believe that she died of cancer or something like that. And he had to go through the long process of watching his wife die, and it really sent him in a complete disarray. Anyone that's taking care of a sick loved one, whether it's a mother, grandmother, husband, wife, kid, like a terminal sick patient, it changes you. Too much information in my own life. I took care of my sick grandmother who died of cancer. Like the 2 or 3 years that I took care of her and was kind of her nurse from when I was like 18 to 20. I never came back the same. After those 2 years of taking care of that much of a sick parent, I felt Chuck-like. And then my mother got sick, had a stroke, and I kind of took care of her for a while too, like with her dementia. And like when you deal with people that are sick and you put your whole life and time into protecting them, it really takes a lot out of you, and it makes you more susceptible for the position that Chuck's in. It could explain a lot more the reaction and the feeling that Chuck has post all of that. Phil and Joe doing a podcast, random junior porn comedy. Phil and Joe doing a podcast from a random junior prom equals comedy amazingness. And it equals Joe and I being arrested at the end of the night. Everybody, here live from the junior prom is Joe and oh my God, we've been arrested. Oh my gosh. Corey says, say my name, Rebecca. Yaya Mars, whatever the fuck name was at the wedding. Say the name. Say it. Oh, Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo Ma. Say the cellist's name. Say it. Say it. I read your comment in the Sam Kinison voice from Back to School. Say it. Say it. Tom says, Phil, you sound like the guy who would ignore the girl using the safe world in the bondage scenario. Once you sign the contract to head into my dungeon of Ninja Turtles and Star Trek, I'm not responsible for what happens that's a verbal contract. If you want to spend time in the studio, you have to relinquish all, Tom, you're amazing. Yeah, I have to go driving to New Jersey for follow-up dentist appointment. Sam, good luck, and I hope everything went well and no complications from the wisdom teeth being pulling. And I'm glad you made it through that whole situation. We were saying, the actual process, the before and after are way worse than the actual process of going through it. I hope you had a safe process through that. Sam, have a great Have a great night. So I'm reading the chat. You guys are cracking me up. Misa Yosi the ass clown. Misa in deep doo-doo now. Oh my goodness. Again, you guys, I say it a lot, but you guys are cracking me up. You guys make my days getting to babble to you guys. So I appreciate this more than you know. Okay. So after dinner, Chuck and Rebecca lay in bed, and there's a considerable problem. They sort of have like a silent moment between them. The light's cold. It's just this like chrome, like blueness to everything. And Chuck, this is one of those moments in the scene that I feel bad for Chuck, and I can relate to him because, again, put me in this podcast being silly, and I'm in my home base, and I can be all, but put me in some social situations, I can be fucking awkward. And maybe I'm never going to be this fail as Chuck, but Chuck's just not. And Michael McKean plays this so fucking well. Oh my goodness. I feel for Chuck so much. When you have that friend, everyone had that friend. No matter how funny or silly you are, you have that one friend that you sit in the living room and you're all ragging on the TV and he one-ups you every time. Not in a one-upmanship sort of way, just in a way that he's just naturally a funnier person than you are. He just has this thing, whether in school, the class clown that once makes the comment that you want to make before you make it. Whatever. I think there are some elements, everything is truthful, but I think Chuck was so jealous. Someone making reference silly like that Rebecca was getting wet from Jimmy or whatever. She was getting excited, turned on by Jimmy. I think there is an element of that Chuck was more than anything in that moment feeling extreme jealousy for the fact that Jimmy could make her laugh in a way that Chuck probably never could. She loves Chuck. She's fulfilled intellectually with Chuck, but he doesn't make her laugh in the X amount of years that they've been married as much as Jimmy made her laugh in 2 seconds. So I feel bad for Chuck in that moment, listening to him cry. I almost expected them to have twin beds like Ward and June Cleaver. Good to see Tio Salamanca tie in, but that's the end of the episode. It was awesome to see that, Brian. I'm sorry as I back up a little bit. Let me play conga drums while I let my cat in. Come on in, you motherfucking cat. Interrupting the show, kitty cat. What the hell? I'm trying to talk. Holy shit. They tell a joke and they're the only ones laughing. Took Chuck a little while to come with that joke. The moment had moved a few hours ago and that train had left. And again, what I love about the show is and it's what the caller was saying earlier. Tom from New York was saying earlier. This is such a good parallel to life. And I don't think it's enhanced life in a sense, but I think the dynamics that they set up in this show are so true to me of real life situations that's one of the things I love so much about the show. And I feel like as the people that are into it say, oh, the writing in the show is the best in the fucking world, because it really captures things that really fucking happen. And this is one of those moments where someone said that, where I'm thinking in my head, and again, I do this shit where, oh, I got the George Costanza. I have a perfect comeback from there. The jerk store called. They said they have enough for you. You think of the joke. Chuck thought of that joke like 2 hours. It's like, you know what? I'm going to come up with a lawyer joke, and it's just going to be just as funny as all of Jimmy's. And he's sitting in bed, going all night. Think about, oh, by the way, honey, I got a joke. It's funny. Ha, ha, ha. And welcome to chat, you motherfucking cat. Oh, welcome to the chat, everybody. Oh, yeah, you motherfucking chat. Sorry, I missed what you meant for a second. You fucking cat fucking with the chat. Don't make me put my furry mask on and piss you off. War in the cat, Phil, Mr. Buttons, the Benjamin Buttons situation. Warg into the cat. Remember Mr. Buttons, Phil. Remember. See, I took that as I manipulated that with a comment I think you made the other night, Corey, about how not to go too much down a different show, that baby Judith maybe has Benjamin Buttons disease. I think that was you. It might have been Bill. I might be giving you credit for a joke you didn't come up with, but either way, that was funny. And then I read the Mr. Buttons thing and it made me think about that. But I know what you mean. Let's see if okay. So Chuck steals in the cold void. The question that probably plagued you, the question that got me after the scene, and I think everyone was asking in the chat what happened to Rebecca. As the whole scene kind of unfolds from Chuck's point of view, it seems that he somehow blames Jimmy for causing some sort of rift in his marriage. I don't know. Maybe I might be going far on that one, but this show does a great job of finding sympathy for everybody. And I feel like this was one of those moments that you're supposed to feel sympathy for Chuck, that he is jealous of that minor connection and the fact that Rebecca, A, ignored him in those moments, and B, it was completely charmed by Jimmy. And you also think that Chuck probably never gives her full Chuck dick that you see at work. Essentially, he kind of looks up to her, I get the feeling too, and honors her, probably thinks she's too good for, all those sort of things, I think is almost understood in the way that Chuck looks at her and doesn't kind of call her out. Well, doesn't tell her the story that he tells Kim later in the episode. And I don't know if he ever told his wife that story. It was you, Corey. Okay, good. So Mike's daughter-in-law totally lied to him about the neighborhood shootings to acquire new residents. Wasn't that what happened there? Brian, that's how I feel about it. I said that at the time, and I say it again. I think she put that hole in the wall herself to get Mike to pay everything for her. And I think she constantly wants to throw Mike carrots or crackers or crumbs and be like, oh, yeah, the girl misses you. Come see her, blah, blah, blah. But really, I think it's just a big manipulation on her part. Personally, is how I see that. I think it can be viewed at in any way. I think that's one of those things that's up for debate on Better Call Saul about is his daughter-in-law crazy? Is she completely manipulating him in the way that she maybe influenced his son to go to the other side of things? And as we hear last season, I told him to finally do it. So I don't know. I bet we get into that more as time goes on. Either way, it's everything Mike's doing, and something we knew of going from Breaking Bad. Everything Mike's doing is because of his granddaughter and protecting her. Kelsey, I ain't saying she gold digging, but Corey says, if I have to take a guess, it would probably be cancer. Nothing to really back that up. Cancer killed her, but it just seems likely, or a sudden car crash could have killed her to signal Chuck's downfall. She is crazy, and everything else is Lily the Valley talking about his daughter-in-law. We're talking back and forth about Corey was talking about Rebecca, and then we're making reference as well to Mike's daughter-in-law, whose name I'm blanking on at the moment. Oh my goodness, as usual, the chat cracking me up. So everyone, just so you know, I am flipping the phone on light symbol. So if anyone's watching and has a question and wants to call in, you are more than welcome to call in at this time. And as I mentioned to a couple people that sent me messages asking about the phone system, this will probably be the norm until I can figure out a caller queue system, just for me to say, phone lines on, phone lines off. So at least I know when the phones are calling, because the problem that some people may be having with the calls is they say, sometimes the calls come in when Joe or I are in mid-sentence and it cuts off. So I want to try to isolate the calls in blocks throughout the shows. So I don't want to discourage anybody to call. We want to have you guys keep calling. That's why I got to figure out and I'm going to say this on every show until if anyone knows how to figure out the whole phone queue system, how I can set this up like a radio station. I've been doing some research about it, and I've got a couple of options that will be kind of testing out from show to show to see if they work. One of which is Blog Talk Radio, setting it up on half-an-hour blocks to have the phone lines open so we can have caller queues, a couple of other options as well. So look out for that coming in the next little bit. I have to do some testing out on that. I'll probably test those things out on Vikings or Better Call Saul podcasts, and before I bring them out to our Sunday shows. So Stacy, thank you, FG guy. Don't forget to recap Fear the Walking Dead Hawaiian Vacation. I wonder if the Beach Boys will show up season 2 with John Stamos and Fear the Walking Dead. Oh my goodness, guys and gals, you're cracking me up. Okay, so let us continue. Jimmy and Kim are both working late, as we see. Okay, so the next thing is we see Jimmy and Kim are both working late. Jimmy, who types with 2 fingers, searching and pecking, which is honestly how I type with the 2 fingers right there too. And Kim is trying to get out, is still trying to work hard to get Kim out of the dog house. Kim is dwelling in the basement of HHM, ignoring Jimmy's calls over and over again, watching over her phone, over the table, kind of vibrating on the table. Jimmy eventually sneaks into HHM to talk to Kim. We get this really cool shot. It's only for a second, but a sort of point of view thing through the window of the door. We also get a couple of backup shots from season 1 of Better Call Saul when he eventually goes back to the courthouse. A lot of great visual shots, but I feel like if I keep pointing out every time they visually do something awesome, I'm never gonna talk about anything else about Better Call Saul. Phil, you need to set up a multi-line hunt group. This is my Gmail. Email me later about any phone issues or questions. Thank you, Corey. I will absolutely email you later. So it's Corey. Oh, well, you just said in the chat, CoreyMitchell@gmail.com. That is the email. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. So Jim and Kim are both working late. Kim notices the shot from the POV. She tells him, he's like, he just can't stop breaking the rules when they finally talk. He can't help himself. He's obsessed. We talked about that earlier. He can't help but do it. So the next little situation that we get into is when we see a young lady appearing at Jimmy's door. She's a second-year law attorney and pretty fucking annoying. The pixie ninja here. She tells Jimmy she's noticed that he threw his soda can in the wrong receptacle. We have an ecological footprint. We're very serious here. You're taking notes the wrong way. You're doing this, that. You can indent, but you don't have to indent. You can do this, that. She just chastises him about everything, about the capitalization of Roman numerals, about spacing. Yada, yada, yada. A lot of fucking bullshit. Jimmy just kind of gives her the slip, which is really fun stuff. Later in the episode, he goes back to his public defender's stomping grounds when he comes and sees her the next morning, and he asks the receptionist for a court date. She refuses to give him a court date when he wants, which he tries to bribe with the Beanie Baby, which is just really laughing, thinking about Beanie Babies at the time and how popular they were. And she's, oh, no, you can't do that. That's bribery. You can't do that. Extortion, blah, blah, blah. And he ends up yelling, getting a date for the next month because he can't do that, throwing the Beanie Baby in the trash and not understanding why she has such a big problem with it. And she goes, listen, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm trying to keep you out of trouble. So it's so annoying. She's so annoying. Thank you, Corey. Do appreciate that. I'm going to do... Sorry, I'm simultaneously multitasking here, and I'm copying and pasting that into an email, so I save that. Awesome. Thank you, Corey. I will definitely email you at some point later to figure that out. KLC says, I thought Pixie Ninja was adorable. Freddie says, my favorite shot was him smoking a cigarette at the end montage. And the security at HAM kind of sucks. Almost seems pre 9/11. There's certain dynamics of that when you ever go to one of those roped off condo communities where they have a guard at the table that all you need to do is wave to him. It's like, why do you have a guard there if they don't even check to make sure you can go in where all you're like, hey, oh, okay, hey. If there's a serial killer in this universe, it's the Beanie Baby court clerk. It's now you really do feel bad for Jimmy in this situation. He's really trying to learn how to do things the right way, but simple things like greasing the wheel of justice with a Beanie Baby. Sam's not here to give us a reference, but if Sam's listening to this later, who is a law student, so out of all the things that Jimmy does, I mean, I understand this is, again, I mentioned it earlier with the Barney Stinson, or if someone has a problem with drinking, they can't even have one sip of alcohol or one puff of a cigarette if they're smoking cigarettes. But she doesn't know that about Jimmy enough. I mean, maybe what's Harrison Maine, or what's Jimmy's Ed Bagley Jr.'s character? Maybe he set her up for that, saying this guy is a pathological liar. You need to watch out for him and protect him from every situation. He can't help but shoot himself in the foot. That being said, this is just such a minor thing. Maybe because I know everything that Jimmy's done leading up to this and thinking about that he has a dynamic and a relationship with this person. So there's an in and out with this. And I don't know. I don't see this as a big crime that you need to call him on and keep him out of trouble for not bribing someone with a Beanie Baby. But maybe that's because I'm not. Maybe that's because I'm a fucking somebody that looks at things from the dark side of stuff. And I don't always obey by every single rule. It's more of a sense of my own morality rather than the morality of the rules. And something like that doesn't seem like something bad to me. It's like, I don't know, whatever. Whatever. That maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm oversimplifying a situation there. We have a texter that says, I loved Pixie Ninja. I thought she was the cutest girl that we've seen on the show by far. Oh, well, cool. I thought she was pretty damn cute too. I will not argue about her cuteness factor. Davis in Maine. Thank you. Phil's notes. So he knows how lowly this girl like anybody that works a front desk of one of these places, getting something special, a Beanie Baby or like that, it just helps break you out of the mundaneness of the bullshit that she's dealing with. And someone like Jimmy, you can see by the look in her face, we have a relationship. What Jimmy says is true. I mean, he has a dynamic with her. He even knows she gives the tough guys there, the look in her face, like, I'm not upset. I'm this, that, and another thing. Give me the Beanie Baby. Jimmy's the best part of her day. She was happy to see Jimmy walk in that door. Oh my goodness, that's Jimmy. And it seems to me that he is probably one of those people. And I don't know. I try to be one of these type of people. I go to a convenience store. Every one of my convenience store clerks knows my name and I know their name. It's silly, but I go in, I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm talking. I want to talk. Everyone's a fucking human. We all have to do shit that we all fucking hate. That's mundane and bullshit. Showing people that you are aware of it or you can connect with them on some level, I don't know. It helps people. And I think that's what Jimmy was doing more than bribing here. So I feel like he's just trying to show you're appreciated is a Beanie Baby. But again, I might be adding my own life situations to this situation. The Good Old Boy Network. That says Corey Mitchell. It's pretty harmless mishap. I'm sure things like this go on all the time. Remember when Dexter would bring everyone donuts because he wanted people to believe he was a nice guy. He has a rapport with the serial killer Beanie Buddy lady. And I thought, just like his babysitter Aaron and his grandfather Mike, Jimmy knows people. Jimmy knows how to connect with people. And the Dexter thing made me think of 6 Feet Under and the sense of something that Dexter's character, I forget his name on 6 Feet Under, doesn't understand or understands that the guy... if you've watched 6 Feet Under, you'll know what I mean. The guy that ends up working on bodies, I forget his name, but the one that eventually becomes more of a part of the team, just doesn't understand people in the way that the brothers understand because they've been influenced by their father, the way that you have to relate to people that are going through traumas and stuff. You can't just make it all a business transaction with everything in life. There's that human interaction that makes all the difference in everything. And I don't know, that's how I was looking at this situation. Laughter is the best medicine, and Jimmy can deliver that humor that Chuck could not. In a way, Chuck might have held that against Jimmy once Rebecca became sick. I think you have an excellent point there, Brian. Perfect point. Corey, just like his baby sister, Aaron's grandfather, Mike, Jimmy knows people. David Fisher. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Oh, so I think that interaction with people is important. I think Jimmy's just one of those kind of people. And I think you see that later on when Jimmy isn't just upset that he sees the district attorney in the bathroom later in the scene too. And he feels really Jimmy in that moment when this guy is just like, oh, you got a job at Davis and Maine. They give you a car. He's trying to relate to this person. And Jimmy gets that feeling. I wonder if this is a TV feeling. No, that feeling that you were disconnected from your friends, that you're at a point that you've moved on, whether by choice or by hook or by crook or by whatever, you're in a different situation. You're the teacher's pet or something. It's why peer pressure in some ways in schools where students that I've done some teaching, some part-time teaching and some other things like that. There's sometimes where kids will do purposely bad on a test or answer a question out loud incorrectly because they don't want to seem like they're better or different than anyone else of the group that doesn't know the answer. It takes a certain kind of ass-kissy person out or whatever, someone that's confident in their self and wants you to know that they know the answer. But some people are empathetic of what's going around in the moment, and they don't want to make other people look bad. And I think there is some element of that Jimmy has this kindergarten nature to him, an understanding of human nature that other people don't have. That's a gear that Saul Goodman, Jimmy has. It's something he can tap into. I love that line. Someone can tell me in the chat because I have it written down somewhere, but I'd have to look at my phone notes. But when she's with the Pixie Ninjas telling Jimmy she's analyzing him, you say these two words all the time. They're Saul Goodman words, absolutely or indefinitely, whatever the two words are. I love how she calls him out of that, and it's a little breaking the fourth wall of how Saul Goodman always says these same words. Oh, thank you, Brian. Mike's daughter-in-law is Stacy. Stacy, perfect. I think Jimmy's biggest talent is reading people. Mike reads people also very well. Just the two have totally different ways of different ways of approaching it. Very, very true, my friends. So Kim tries. Then we get the Kim montage, this is the first of the two Kim montages. The The second one, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, and Nitch pointed this out to me in the chat room. It was a version of My Way by Frank Sinatra performed by the Gypsy Kings, which I loved that performance. I love how it added on. I love both Kim montages. If I didn't know it already, I also wanted to point out, I kind of skipped over it. Kim makes a point to say to Jimmy when Jimmy comes to her earlier in the episode and say, I know how to get you out of this situation. We're going to sue him. They're doing this because of Chuck's trying to get back at me. I'll quit my job, sue them, do something to get you back in the good graces. Excuse me. Kim's reaction to that is, no, fuck you. I'm doing it myself. And I love that. That made me love Kim. Really. Kim, the last couple of weeks since she's been in a relationship with Jimmy, I've appreciated her character a lot more. And 1,000%, I don't even have to say that Kim's better than Skylar thing. But Kim is able to, she hasn't broken up with Jimmy. There's a reference to this in this episode where she says, I'm in a relationship. So she hasn't given up on Jimmy. Chuck might have pushed her over the edge at the end of the episode, but ultimately she is doing what she can to protect herself in the relationship, but loves Jimmy. And I think she really does care about him. I said so many times, I think she had Jimmy on the hook. Joe, next week when we get him back, or if he jumps in here, might still disagree with me essentially, but I think she really does love Jimmy. She loves her career just as much, but she also doesn't want Jimmy to bail her out. She doesn't want anybody, male, woman, dog, nothing. She doesn't want anybody to bail her out. She does shit herself. And I appreciate that so much that they show us those aspects of who Kim is as a character. And I love the montage of watching her do that. It was an 80s montage. Everybody have a montage. You don't save me, I save me. Yeah. Awesome line. Ow. By the way, if I only talk like this, I just bit the back of my tongue, which is always awesome stuff, guys. Don't you know? I love when I bite the back of my tongue. Mm-hmm. I'll be like, Vikings last night. It's such a good show by Thursday. But sorry about that, guys. Kim is her own person. Skylar, not so much. She just wanted to bitch, but didn't complain on the way that the bank built. I hated that with her and Carmela. I agree with you on that. Carmela probably pisses me off a little bit more because I feel like Carmela is a smarter person than Skylar was. That's just my impression. I think Carmela is more doing it by choice, and I think Skylar in a lot of ways is shell-shocked by it all and doesn't know how to react. I think she comes to a point where she does, but I think Carmela, it's all by choice. It's all a manipulation tactic, intensified. So I don't know if that makes me like Carmela more than Skylar or like her less, but I feel like Carmela's in more control of her own destiny with it and has made these decisions more herself, where Skylar thought she was in one situation and then got blindsided by it. Thought she was in a completely, I'm controlling, I'm the leader of this relationship. I'm the gas, you're the brakes, Walt. And then when that shifted, her reaction wasn't necessarily a positive one. Let's jump in the chat. We've got a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yeah, Phil.
Hey, what's up, buddy? Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. I just want to say, my name's Big J, man.
Big J?
I don't know who gave you time. I don't know how to do all that computer. I'm 48.
Oh, no worries, dude. Thank you for...
My brain's a little fried, man. I'm just getting used to the computer technology. You know what I'm saying,
dude? I'm just psyched that you're able to check us out. And what was your name one more time so I know?
My name is John, but you can call me Big J. You can call me Cock. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, Big J. Awesome. Thank you, Big J. Appreciate that.
J, Cock, whatever, bro. You're a cool motherfucker, man.
You too, my friend. Thank you so much, Big J.
I'm gonna be calling during the week, man. I love your reviews, man. Awesome show. Fuck the people that don't like it, bro. They don't know good TV. It's like being a hockey fan.
Awesome, dude.
It's the best sport, but we only got a select few.
And feel free to always leave some.
Like this Soprano said, bro. This is the thing of ours.
Yep, absolutely, my friend.
Big J. All right. Peace out.
Awesome. Thank you, Big J. Appreciate that. And Big J, anytime you want to call during the week, even when a show's not on, while you're watching the show and leave a voice message, I will play it during the show. Big J, awesome call. And thank you so much, buddy. I so appreciate you finding us and checking out the show. Is it me or both? Did Carmela and Skylar both do real estate? I remember, but my memory is sketchy. Carmela definitely did. I'm not positive about Skylar. I think her thing was more with the business and getting involved in the car wash and doing all of that. Oh yeah, wait a second. Yeah, Skylar. What? No, Skylar was an accountant. And maybe the company she was working with, the guy that she was cheating on Walt with, was in real estate development. I could be making that up, but I think Skylar was an accountant. Oh, so again, Big J, thank you so much for the call, buddy. I look forward to hearing from you again. Fucking great. Love when we get some new callers and new friends connecting to the show. I love all of our callers and all of our friends, but it's always great to get some new voices in here. It's fun stuff. And I love hearing a fellow East Coaster going on there too. So, but we can say what we want, but us New Yorkers and Boston people have our rivalry, but we're like brothers in arms here. You know, I go to other parts of the country or other parts of the world. I see a New Yorker. I'm like, fellow East Coast person that I can yell and talk to. Because you talk to some people, and some people I go out random places, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is me in public. Yeah, and someone's like, could you calm down? No, I can't calm down. This is me. I can't fucking calm down. Ethan Brewster, huge shout out to you, motherfucker. Great to hear you, Ethan, or great to see you. Mm-hmm. Ha-ha. But huge shout out to you, Ethan. Okay, so Kim brings in we get the whole Kim montage. We hear her, hi, how's it going? Yeah, I got to get a drink sometime. No, I'm sorry, I'm seeing someone. Remember me, we met at the mixer last year. Remember we took shots. She finally lands a client. She shouts yes, and she runs outside. We also get kind of flash of her outside smoking cigarettes. I have to say, the actress, and I don't know her name off the bat. I don't have IMDb in front of me right now. The actress that plays Kim did an excellent job in this episode. Fucking amazing. The scene that she has with Jimmy and the scene she has with Chuck specifically, but in this montage, she really sells it. I believe this girl works, this woman works, this person works so fucking hard. And the actress just played this frustration, the way she's skipping her lunch breaks, the way the music all fit, the I'll do it my way, the choice of song. I said this to Niche in the chat room. Whoever designs the music or picks the songs for Better Call Saul needs to win an award. Joe often says it, and I agree. The Emmys or Golden Globe, all that stuff's bullshit. But I don't care if it's bullshit or not. I want sound designer for Better Call Saul to win an award, and production design and everything like that. This show deserves to be mentioned when they get into the highbrow Emmy bullshit, because the sound, what they pick for the songs and how the music reflects what's going on in the scene. And then we see the visuals. It's like, oh my God. I explode and want to play the bongo drums like crazy. I can't handle myself. The actor is Rhea Seehorn. Oh, great. Welcome, Ethan. Yes, I remember. Oh, not yet. To answer your question, the high. No, not at all. This is me completely normal right now. I'm high on water right now. Mm-hmm. So, have you noticed the camera go off? Have you noticed technical difficulties today, ladies and gentlemen? Oh no, we're having some technical difficulties. Oh no. Okay. So Kim ended up bringing in a $250,000 client. So we also we get a very fun scene with Chuck and Howard. Then we get Chuck and Howard talking. Howard shows up at Chuck's house late night. This is one of those things that I like that the show added this season that we didn't get last season. Some good interactions between Howard and Chuck. In fact, last season, I kept feeling like, how could I even see the two people in the same room together interacting? But now getting to see Howard go to Chuck's house, it's really fun stuff. There was also a mention earlier when Chuck is talking to Rebecca about Howard too, about Howard is the face of the franchise, essentially. She was in Franklin and Bash, a couple of episodes of House of Lies. Franklin and Bash, was that show with Zach Morris and Dr. Wells? Was that what Franklin and Bash was? People are like, what are you talking about? Harrison Wells and Zach Morris in a couple of episodes of House of Lies. So Howard's telling Chuck about the situation, And very good acting made me resent her grim devotion to her careers and made me remind me of a younger self. It was. I'm so amazed. I'm so amazed that I was able to pull that one out of my ass. Critch, that's a very good point. And I know so many people that are so passionate about their careers and really work so hard to push themselves in those moments when you're trying to build yourself up. It reminded me of some things that we all do in those moments when we're so passionate about our success, and then sometimes we fall into automatic pilot. And Kim was just working so hard. It's inspirational for me anyways to watch how hard she worked. So Howard tells Chuck about the situation, brings over some booze, they celebrate, and love Hamlin in this scene. Don't love him, fucking hate him. I love that we see that Hamlin come back. And again, the show just does an excellent job of everything being the gray area. And Hamlin is sitting there. Chuck almost repeats a line that Kim says earlier on the phone, where, yeah, tons of work. I don't know if that's a lawyer thing, or that's just code for, it's amazing. We're gonna get paid a shit ton of money for that. Where Chuck goes, she got a $250,000 client, that company right there. Oh, wow, that's a ton of work. How'd you get that? Is it one of your golf buddies? And Howard goes, no, that was Kim. And Chuck's like, she's out of the doghouse. That's amazing. Wow, that's incredible. And we'll see. And Hamlin's reaction, we'll see. I just love that. She might love Jimmy, but he comes a distant second to his career. Very good point. Corey says, so my question is, did she burn cigarettes from Great comment, Corey. Dad! I wish right now is one of those times where I wish I had the Roseanne song on cue right now just to play. But what I really need to do is
shut the fuck up, Pam.
Okay, I'll shut the fuck up, Tim. Thank you, buddy. Okay, so and she should be building a case against her bosses. No way her suspected relationship to someone in trouble elsewhere. No way her to suspect relationship to someone in trouble. Yeah, no way for her. She worked so hard. The fact that Hamlin's doing this, she almost does have a case that he fucked up because he trusted Jimmy too. It isn't all on her, and he's making her pay, as Chuck points out in the situation. When she skipped her lunch break, I was like, oh damn, that's a tough one for me. It shouldn't blow back on her. Howard's kind of owned Kim there. I wanted lower expectations to play from Saturday Night Live during that moment. I think in that moment, just to answer your question, or your comment, Critch, about building a case in that moment, I think that's part of what she is asking Chuck later on when she says, do I have a future here? Because I think if he had said no, straight up no, and didn't offer a story about Jimmy and kind of connect to her and show her how proud he is of what she's done, I think maybe she might have thought about going down that route, or at least finding another job somewhere else, and at least leaving that, probably more that. I don't think suing them because of what she says to Jimmy afterwards. No one want to hire me afterwards. Granted, that doesn't mean she couldn't use it as leverage on Howard and build up a thing. Listen, Howard, go to Howard and kind of give him one of those, listen, dude, you fucked up here and I have evidence and I can file a suit against you. Give me my fucking job back. Kind of working that angle on Howard. But I don't think Kim's like that. I think she doesn't want to manipulate if she doesn't have to. I think she wants to do everything by the books and by the sweat of her own brow. It's not even a saying. It is now. It's fucking now. So, we've got a email from somebody. Wait. Funny. Oh, that was from a separate subject for a different video. Someone was asking if it was Joe's real hair. And he said, it looks like it was coming out of his head. I don't think those dreads are real. So Chuck gradually, then we see Jimmy told Kim that Chuck, not Howard, is the one ostracizing her. Howard responds bitterly. We see that it's Howard that's the one that's really pissed off about the whole situation to Chuck. And Chuck is really impressed with, she's like, fourth year law, Kim did all this? Wow, she is a keeper. We need to promote that girl. This is business. Because Chuck hates Jimmy, or not hates Jimmy, loves Jimmy, is scared by Jimmy, but I don't think Chuck would ever fuck with the business or professional stuff to get what he wants. And if Kim can help the business, he wants Kim in the best position to help the business. Hence kind of what he was saying last week when Jimmy's like, I'll quit the law. You know, do this. Chuck won't come down to that level. Chuck won't manipulate people on that level. He has to do it all on the up and up for himself. To me, that's the vibe I get from Chuck. So Chuck is gradually reintroducing himself to HHM. Now he's heading into the office at like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, before all the electronic devices show up at the office. Kim is still in the office working hard because Kim won't fucking leave. She's dropping up paperwork. She's organizing stuff. She's just trying to bust her fucking ass. Because after Hamlin met the guys, I kind of skipped over the scene, but Hamlin meets the clients that she's bringing in. They have a whole day where they sell them. And at the end, she's like, I did it. Should I get to work on working with these people? And Hamlin's like, no, fuck you. Bye. And Hamlin can't be a dick straight out. He has to do it in that nice guy. No, you have enough on your plate down in the mailroom. So Chuck asks, Kim is in the office, still in the doghouse. Chuck comes in the room. He goes, can you brew me a cup of coffee? He can't use the coffee maker, you see. He tells her, make 2 cups. And I love the looks she gives him in this situation. Initial look is, you're Jimmy's brother. Are you conning me here? Someone might see this completely differently. Again, this show's great at doing this. My initial thought watching this was her first look to him wasn't just, I'm pissed off because you did this to me. The only reason Howard isn't accepting me back in is because of you. Because I think part of that was she's starting to think that. I also think when he goes into the whole, could you make me coffee? She gets a, do it yourself, asshole. Oh, this fucking touching. Is this real? Are you really fucking, is this real? Or are you just messing with me? She eyes him kind of apprehensively, and he's the one thinking he's the one that's keeping her down. And he asks her to make him coffee. Please make me coffee. He goes, make one for yourself and come on, let's sit down. It's Corey Mitchell. So I'm relegated to servant worm now. Great. Go fuck yourself, HHM. Critch says, Chuck was throwing tacks in the road between Jimmy and Kim. Great way of saying it, Critch. Brian says, Chuck was purposely sabotaging Jimmy's relationship with Kim by talking about their father's missing money. I believe that, but I'm still in the subtle manipulation playing good cop to break her from Jimmy. That is Chuck's method of revenge. Ooh, interesting point, Corey. It's clear that Kim is first to Jimmy and Jimmy's career is second. Jimmy is second to Kim and her career is first. There's a disconnect. Some priorities are different for them, sadly. Whoa, great thoughts. And again, what I love so much, I say this a lot, but what I love about this show, generally all the shows we talk about, but more specifically this show than some of the other ones we talk about, it's really a lot of scenes are set up open for interpretation to understand the human condition and what the humans are thinking in the particular fucking moment that they're thinking. That's what makes me so fucking excited about this show, is that you can, and one of the main similarities to Breaking Bad, if we're comparing it to Breaking Bad on some ineffable level or some shit, the level that it's connected is the questioning, the exploration of the human nature and about how humans react to different fucking things. And that's what I really love. And her building up the courage as he's talking to her and her just going up, listen, dude, do I have a future here in this situation? And Chuck, whatever reason he did this, did he try to do this to save her? Did he try to do this to save the company because he wants to get her away from Jimmy? Did he do this to punish Jimmy for everything that happened with his wife and to try to connect, to Kim on a level that he can connect to Kim? He can connect to Kim on a level from the legal standpoint that Jimmy can never connect to her because he understands on a moral level in the same way that Jimmy connected to Chuck's wife, Rebecca, on a comedic level. It's that parallel between the two, and different people connect to the other person's significant other on that moment. So I think Chuck's really trying to do this. And it's funny how he instigates this with a joke. I guess it really is the early bird that catches the worm. If you like worms. And Kim gives him a courtesy laugh, the courtesy flush laugh. Yeah, that's good. But ultimately, he does connect with Kim later when he starts getting into the legal stuff, when he starts talking about Jimmy as he is a person. And I really like this parallel that the show put up between Chuck interacting with Kim and then seeing Jimmy interacting with Rebecca earlier in the episode. Awesome stuff. Really awesome stuff. Corey says, I love this show because it makes me think more from a psychoanalysis way than, say, The Walking Dead. These characters are complex, very diverse, thus it makes me think more. Yeah, and that's not to say anything good or bad about different shows. Everyone has their different favorite things that they like or different elements. I feel like, again, I agree with you 100% that this show makes me work for the analysis. That's part of the reason why I'm enjoying doing this today, and I don't always feel right after the episode like I'm in a perfect position to talk about it, because some of this stuff that happens in Better Call Saul is I keep using this term today, a slow burn. It gets into you, and then you have to analyze it and figure out what the hell is going on. A lot of right after the episode airs, it's just, this was awesome. I have to think about that. This is awesome. I have to think about that. And that's what I love about this show. And I think what's great about television right now is that we're getting so many different kinds of shows that are excellent in different ways. I watched Gotham yesterday, and I know what the fuck you're talking about, Gotham. That show, a lot of people thought it was horrible. They watched it at the beginning. Not a great show, but now finally understands the campiness that it's trying to portray. Last night's episode was so campy and ridiculous that I'm watching it and I go, okay, obviously Better Call Saul to me is a better show. Walking Dead's a better show. Whatever show I want to talk about. Flash, Arrow, Daredevil. But Gotham is starting to understand what it is and doing what it wants to do successfully. And I feel like Better Call Saul does this kind of show better than any other kind of show I've ever seen like it. Do you think, Ethan, that was you that called earlier talking about The Walking Dead. And your question was, do I think Rick's old ass is going to die? I'll talk about that at the end. I'll make, once I finish this episode, I'll make a comment. But to answer your question, no. Directly answer the question. I think he's alive for the long haul on the show. And when he's gone, the show's over. That's to me. That's my impression. So I think that's a long time coming. Corey says, Walking Dead's like more like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen next reaction. That's why I love both, but both provoke totally different emotional situations. I say 100% a lot, but 100% agree with you. And I think that's what's awesome about television, something I don't feel like I'm getting all the time with Hollywood movies nowadays. And I know I don't want to get this in a movies versus TV show debate, because those movie people, no, you're a fucking idiot. TV will never be as good as movies. But I feel like in television, we're getting a lot more wide array. And I think in films it happens, but you have to go into independent movies. But in the Hollywood mainstream shit of what we're getting in television right now, there's such a wide array of lots of different styles of amazing shows for all your interests, whether you like campy shit, whether you like deep emotional stuff, whether you like reaction-driven shock horror, whether you like straight-up comedy. It's all there right now for you through the Netflix universe, Amazon, Hulu universe, through everything that's happening right now on television, how all of that has influenced what's going on in prime television as well, too. Where I feel like movies were just, I love these superhero movies. I love getting to see it. When as a kid, I'm like, I'm never going to get the good stuff. I remember crying when I was a kid about that X-Men movie that was going to happen, never happened. There was one that was supposed to be, I think De Niro was slated to play Wolverine. There was like a late 80s, early 90s X-Men sort of thing going on. And I was really upset because I wanted more superhero stuff. And I like what movies are doing. I think occasionally you get really great ones, but I think for the most part, for my interest, and I've always been a TV person first anyways, but I think for the most part, the movies that come out of the mainstream of Hollywood right now are a lot of, they take a theme and then they repeat it, and it's copycat philosophy, where I feel like television is really in a place where we're getting a new kind of art forming that's almost more akin to reading books. It's more akin to understanding chapters, learning chapters about characters, real deep development, in a way that I just think movies, the medium, can't do, because you can't sit there for 10 hours and organize a whole thing. And movies take so long in between when they come out too, that even if you make a trilogy series or something like that, it can never truly express what I want. Granted, there's some elements movies can bring you that shows can't either, but for my taste of entertainment, TV has always been my preferred medium. And now I think instead of having to pick and really find those moments, like in films now, I have to really pick and find great independent movies. With TV now, it's just, we're in an embarrassment of riches of great television right now. Corey says, Matt Hollywood, they're too scared to try anything new right now. So it's superheroes, reboots, blah, blah, blah. KLC says, I feel Better Call Saul is a show that would be better if binged. I agree with you. Corey says, Sopranos, The Shield, Walking Dead, Better Call Saul, Game of Thrones, all of them have me hate network TV for the most part. I mean, I agree with that to a certain standpoint. I heard very good things about 10 Cloverfield Lane to a certain point. The Double Toaster guys really like that movie, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. I really like John Goodman. I'm a huge fan of all John Goodman's work. Ethan said, the countdown continues. I have to answer your question, I have a PS4. Search the issues guy on PS4. You can find me if people are looking to add me on PS4. So the countdown continues. And thank you, KLC, in the chat. I appreciate you, buddy, doing some work in there right now. So 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, cool. I look forward to watching that. Eric, not you. Okay, so to jump into that, and I don't want to bash Hollywood. I think there are some good movies. I'm speaking in generalities, not in specifics. I feel like there's no fun in speaking in specifics, because then I can say everything specific. Well, actually, there's this one great movie that came out here. But I think the part of the joy of podcasts is speaking in blind generalities. But you get my point. And I mean, I love movies. I love Deadpool. I love so many things that are coming out. I'm looking forward to Civil War. I'm looking forward to like a lot of stuff that's coming out movies wise. Suicide Squad's another one can't wait to see. And I dig the most part. I can more count on my hand the ones in this superhero burst that we've gotten that I dislike, but that's for a different topic for a different day. So Chuck answered the question with a gut punch of a story to Kim. Now it talks about their father, a hardworking, honest man, ran his corner store, which wasn't much, but it put food on the table. Now, when Chuck went off to college, Jimmy started working at the store, helping their old man. Their dad was a good guy, one of the best guys you'll ever meet, but not a good businessman. And when Chuck came home to kind of help figure out the business situation because it was losing money, he realized that there was $14,000 in discrepancies in the books. He's convinced. He doesn't say, this is where we get a little weird here. He never says how he knows. He said, I just found out that I figured that Jimmy's been pilfering it. I don't know if he actually says, and I'd have to rewatch it, if he actually specifically says, I know for a fact Jimmy did it, or how he knows Jimmy did it. Or if this is just Chuck's immediate thing to go to because he always thinks Jimmy's a con man and has always believed this. Either way, he says he knows that Jimmy had been pilfering it for his own noxious vices, taking a little bit out of the register at a time. Has anyone ever worked at a place where people do this? I worked at one of my first jobs ever. I worked at a restaurant where the boss from the restaurant, we used to play poker games in the kitchen in the back. We play like cash money poker games, and all the waiters would, because we'd have our money for tips. And we play against the boss who was one of the main bosses, this guy Larry, would always want to play poker. He'd start the games, and he was so shitty at gambling. He'd always lose all his money. And he would walk right up to the register and take cash out of the register to go play the poker games. That business went out of business very quickly. So it's needless to say, this guy was a horrible businessman. So in a shyster a little bit, and wouldn't tell his business partner that he was taking money out of the register. Well, I'm putting it back later. And Critch says, I'm promoting Hap and Leonard and Sundance. That's a show people should watch. And thank you, Brian. Rhea Seahorn plays Kim. 90% of Rotten Tomatoes. Definitely Chuck ain't no angle. It's KLC. Great point. So, Corey says, my question is, do you believe all of Chuck's story? I don't picture Chuck as a liar, but maybe he could have embellished the truth to more suit his story. That's essentially what I'm saying, or what I'm asking. It's a bigger question. I guess I'm asking that question too. Do we believe Chuck's story? Do we believe that Chuck knows without a shadow of a doubt Jimmy did this? Because how it slips, Jimmy's been pilfering for years. When Chuck told his father wouldn't hear it. No way, not his Jimmy. He had to sell the store, and 6 months later, he died. At the funeral, no one cried harder than Jimmy. Is this Chuck's fucked up thing, schizoid embolism, to use a Total Recall term? Is this Chuck's way that he wrapped his head around that? That his dad, and I'm throwing it for instance, His dad could have just been a horrible businessman that lost $14,000 because he was giving handouts to people around the town. He said that his father was one of those people that knew everybody's problems, that knew everyone in the neighborhood. Well, I had a neighborhood store when I was a kid and the guy who ran the neighborhood store, when my family couldn't afford to take me to water country, a water park on my birthday, he gave my mother a loan that my mother paid back over the points. Probably she had to probably pay points on it, but whatever. Gave my mother a loan to play points. Did that a couple times. A couple people that he didn't pay back. This guy had some clout, so he could make you pay back. But some business people, some people in the town, maybe he just kind of was giving things out. Maybe he was giving people free food that were hungry. Who knows if Jimmy really did it? I mean, I'm creating my own universe here. I'm doing a little fan fiction, but you just can't tell. I just can't tell 100% if Chuck is convinced himself of this or has any hard evidence for it.
Shut the fuck up, Pam.
Okay, Tam, I'll shut the fuck up. Critch says, agrees. TV series are more modern novels. Movies are modern plays. The first requires more work by the reader watcher. The second requires more work by the presenters. Excellent point, Critch. And I think that's a very good way of saying it in that sense. I would say I say that if we're doing that's an excellent generality. And I think that is very well said in that sense. The only thing I was going to say is that some TV shows are probably like theater shows too. If you look at something like House of Cards, the way he breaks the fourth wall and stuff like that. But that's not what you mean. That's in the presentation of it, not necessarily in the way of the substance of it, which in the substance of it, I agree with you in the sense of what you said. Critch says, yeah, but Chuck is our superhero story. KLC says, didn't Jimmy talk about his dad in season 1? I don't remember what he said. I don't remember what he said either. I was thinking about that too, if this is the first mention we have of his dad. And I don't know if Chuck's asking us, the audience, too, when he asks him, did Jimmy ever tell you about our dad? Corey says, I believe in general, yes, but I've learned with the show, there's always more to meets the eye. It's like Transformers. This show is like Transformers, more than meets the eye. As we learn more insight into Chuck this week. I believe Chuck that at least believes his story. That much I'm sure of. So let me. I want to check something on my phone. Okay, here we go. So ultimately, this all leads to Chuck says, "Listen, you and I are in the same boat. We both cover our asses for Jimmy. Jimmy means well. He can't help himself." So I'll talk, and then he stands up and it has this weird transition where he almost did all that just because she got the business. And he turns to her and goes, I'll talk to Howard. I'll oil the wheels a little bit here. So it's just very interesting shit to me because the look she gets on her face is like, oh shit, it's Howard. Oh shit, is Chuck right? And I getting in her mind, I can't wait to see her next interaction with Jimmy and seeing how that reflects off of what Chuck has done in this moment. Really interesting stuff in those dynamics. So Rebecca is the tainted but sweet and charming, corrodes basically that Jimmy's love, that feeling for it corrodes everyone around him. And it really kind of bothers Chuck. And he feels like he's on a crusade to save other people from being manipulated by Jimmy. It makes me, again, start to question the story of Rebecca. And I want to know more about this, of what happens with her, if Jimmy has any more interactions with her, if she constantly is on Jimmy's side, and Chuck is biased or very protective of anyone believing in Jimmy because of how maybe he let down his wife at some point too. Didn't come and visit her when she was sick. Something. I don't know. I'm just again, I'm fan fictioning it a little bit, but that's what's great about this show. It causes me to want to do this. So then we go after all of that. I mentioned earlier he was in the episode, but there's been one person who doesn't really buy Jimmy's bullshit. And there's also one person who's been pretty absent from the episode. We see Mike. Mike is sitting in a diner. His face is all smashed. Still looks like a big giant eggplant or something. Huge bruises. And he is sitting in here and he's drinking his coffee, relaxing. And what do we hear, people? What do we hear? We hear the door opening and closing. What does the door sound like? It sounds like ding, 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 motherfucker. So right away, I was like, ding, ding, ding. Because the previews from last week to this week's show, they did something along the lines of seeing Mike sitting across someone going, do I know you? So I kind of knew Mike was going to meet with someone in this moment. So once I hear the ding, 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 I immediately go, oh, it can only be one person. This makes a lot of sense. And I was talking about this with Nitch in the chat wing room. I love how this show uses cameos because it does it when it makes sense. The story called for Hector to show up right here. Tio Salamanca to show up. It makes sense that he would show up with what happened in this situation. It makes so much sense that that he would come to reflect what happened to Tuco. And I love this fucking scene. Holy shit, great to see him post the Gus Fring scene when we see him walking with Gus in the flashback with Gus stuff, and before he has the stroke or whatever that puts him in the wheelchair with the stuff. It's so amazing to see him in that middle area, and the way they dressed him up, the way they had him walking, the way they had him messing with his hands a little bit. Oh my God, fuck you that you have these kind of bullets in your gun, Better Call Saul, and you know when to shoot. And they shot him, Hector Salamanca, Mark Margulis, I believe is his name, the uncle of Tuco, is here. Holy shit. Hector comes in, and let's jump in the chat for 1 second. Chuck playing devil's advocate here, seeing in the scene Chuck saying oil in the wheels, that Howard is just being a tad sleazy for forsaking his morality just a little. I'm with you on that one. Hell yeah, when Hector came in, I was terrified. I know Mike won't die, but I still fear for his life. Hector did not fuck around, easily far more level-headed and organized than Tuco. And I like how they set that up, and I like how they set up that we've seen Mike's reaction to some people, whether it be Tuco. Well, we haven't seen him react. We saw him last week react with Tuco when he wanted to piss him off. But we've seen him react with Nacho and a couple of other people that are questionable with the law. And Mike always has that wise assery to him, that sort of curtness of, I'm not going to take your shit. When Salamanca, when Hector walks up here, and Tio walks up here, almost immediately you can see the shift in Mike's eyes to realize that this isn't a man you fuck with. And Mike just sits there, and seeing Mike for the first time, and people can tell me I'm wrong about this and not see this in a completely different way, but seeing Mike put on tilt for the very first time for a moment and not know what to do and faced with the situation, well, until we see him later with Walter. He gets a similar look on his face that he did when Walter drives him nuts and he doesn't know how to handle Walter. This look on his face, we'll get it. Hector sits him down and goes, listen, he apologizes for his nephew, saying his nephew should spend some time in jail to respect his elders because he should have treated you with respect. But a decade in prison for a gun charge, a bit too much. Hector wants Mike to tell the police it was his gun, so Tuco only has to do the battery charge. Hector will make he'll make it worth his time by giving him $5,000, which isn't really that much money, and that's the look Mike gets on his face. Hector goes, why don't you think about it? Because you wouldn't like the outcome. And I just love how calmly he threatens him to a way that I think Mike respects on some fucking level and realizes that if this guy's coming in here and threatening me this calmly and this just this directly calm, this guy is not a guy to fuck with. And he's kind of heard a little bit through Nacho more about Tuco's family, and probably Mike's not an idiot, probably heard of the Salamanca family line in some sense. Maybe he hasn't, maybe he has, who knows? But he just smells cartel all over this guy and goes, I cannot. This is a guy you don't fuck with. And Mike just sits there looking at it like, what the fuck do I do? Hector kind of makes his way out the door. Mike raises his two clenched fists to his head and brings them down the table and slams as the credits roll. And I cannot not talk about scenes from next week when we see some boots of some cousins or one cousin that looks awfully fucking familiar. So how is Mike going to MacGyver his way out of this situation is the real question. Fucking thank you for bringing Hector onto the show. He was awesome. It was so scary just having that actor on. He was originally, or not originally, but he was on Oz. He's been on so many things. So in so many things that he adds a level of gravitas just when he walks into that room, that fear that gets set up. And I'm not talking about the kind of fear that happens on a fucking boat with Baywatch girls. I'm talking about real fear, real understanding. And I think KLC said it in the chat. We know Mike's okay. We know Mike makes it through all this and ends up dying from a fucking shithead of a chemistry teacher. But we don't know that everybody that Mike cares about is okay. And we also know that this guy, Hector Tio Salamanca, is not somebody to fuck with at all. And we know his cousins are not people to fuck with at all. And seeing that all is being brought into the show just amped it all up and brings us one step closer to learning about, I think, the part of the universe that so many people want more exploration in. Because in so many shows that we've gotten things like that, even in a show like Weeds, that kind of got shitty in the end when we start to explore the inner workings of the drug trade and the cartel stuff. It kind of got humorized in some sense and kind of just never really hit the home run in the way those first couple of seasons in Agrestic did, or I'd say even the last couple of seasons, the last season that they did when they brought everything back full circle. Those middle seasons kind of failed. And I feel like Breaking Bad hinted at some things that you just want to know so much more about the Salamanca family line, about stuff to do with Gus, and bringing him back, showing us that really, just from a psychological standpoint, fills me with so much excitement for what's to come on Better Call Saul, and it makes me just want to go back and watch Breaking Bad again. So let's jump in the chat before we call it a day here. Of course, says Hector does not fuck around easily, far more level-headed and organized than Tuco. Kelsey says they got to show how he gets paralyzed in the show. Theories. Again, I don't know. Am I making this up? Breaking Bad historians. Did it get said he had a stroke? But I could be wrong about that. I could be 100% wrong about that. And something awesome could happen. And he could get paralyzed and get shot and paralyzed or something. I thought I remember someone saying he had a stroke. But again, that could be me creating something in my mind because I don't know the answer to that question. Let's go. Corey says, notice Hector never asked questions or made a threat, just observations. Hear what's happened. Have a nice day. No, I just want to say that it wouldn't be nice for my nephew to spend 8 years in prison, Mike. That wouldn't be nice. I might be unhappy if that happened. I'm just saying. Just saying. Me too. I love the way he threatened him. It's so fucking wonderful. So subtle and so menacing because it was so fucking fun. Corey says, I don't even think it was a threat to him. Just stating facts. Yeah, just stating facts. Hector means business. He looked up Mike's past and knows he's a cop. Corey says, how does he make it through? I think he does take the deal. Breaking Bad is 2010. This is 2002, which means Tuco had to get out of jail before then, so he can't serve the 9-year sentence. Corey says, might have been 9 years. Prison sentences are weird. Breaking Bad is 2008, but thank you, Gary. Welcome, Gary. It's weird. I don't know. Breaking Bad was in 2008, but I don't know if that's yes, Breaking Bad time period is in 2008. This is 2002. Yes, you are correct, Gary. Corey says, where it goes in the period of time between 2008 and 2010. And no one knows how far jumped from the time that Walter goes away, in the time jump that they have. And I know why I brought up Gotham too earlier. If people want to see a character from the last season of Breaking Bad pops up on the most recent episode of Gotham. One of the Nazi fucks that takes Walt's money is, what's his name? Uncle, whatever his name is. Todd's uncle shows up as a character on Gotham. And it was really great to see that actor getting some work because of that. And he was really great in his little small part. Yeah, and great point, Gary. Breaking Bad's 2008. I would assume he had a stroke, says Corey, even if they said, so I'm not sure it was a stroke. And Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe! So here's some stray kind of observational stuff. Mike used the $25K to get Kaylee and her mother into a new place at the pool, but he doesn't want his granddaughter to see him all beat up. Circumstances he blames. We also get the first roll of Fight Club, and Saul does the whole Rocky thing. Yes, Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, I think was his name. Yes, he played Matches Malone on Gotham. Plays Matches Malone on Gotham. He was so good on Gotham. That's what I mean when I say that Laurie Petty was awesome on Gotham last night too. I don't want to get too far down that road, but I'm really enjoying that show. And I know it feels weird me saying that because I think the worse the show tries to be in a sense of understanding its material and understanding it's a comic book show, it becomes even better. But Uncle Joe was amazing in that episode last night, and getting to see him being just as menacing as he was on Breaking Bad was awesome to see, and maybe a lot more pathetic, but great stuff. And if you're curious to follow some of the Breaking Bad actors that he was on Gotham last night. Next car I buy will have airbags. No, it won't, Mike. We know that for a fact. Just watch Rocky 2 for the first time. Oh, awesome. Rocky 2 is Rocky 2 might be my favorite Rocky. I really do like the first one, but I like the second one. I like how it ends. I like the conclusion. I like Apollo calling him the Italian chicken through the whole first half of the movie. And I like how Mickey Burgess Meredith shows up at his door. We're gonna knock his block off. Rock. This show is, thank you, Gary. Thank you. Awesome. The show is only 6 years before Breaking Bad. Thank you so much, Gary. Fucking Gary with the fact check. That you need fact check with the show and going on in the chat room. Even worse, the last scene makes it clear that his half measures has tied his future to Hector Salamanca, who expects him to get the gun charge dropped against Tuco. Michael has avoided killing, but he left himself no clear exit strategy. We can say that it gave him no exit strategy, but Mike's going to figure out an exit strategy. That's what Mike does. Someone said it earlier in the chat. It's hard pressed to think that he wouldn't sell out Nacho, but that's the obvious thing, and the show never does the obvious thing. So I'll be interested to see where it goes with that. I think he'll probably cater to Hector's, for requests, especially next week. It seems like Mike showing up somewhere to meet one of the Salamanca cousins, and I can't see Mike wanting to deal with those people. Those are dangerous. Those are a couple of real fucking dangerous people. I love how Jimmy, when he's telling every lawyer joke, he apologizes. Then he goes, "Oh, I got another joke. Oh, I got another joke." Very Bob Odenkirk, very Mr. Show kind of moment. Oh, got a joke. Ah, got a joke. We get periods and comments. Jimmy's 2 strikes existence is no picnic, but he gets to meet his he met his old kind of friend in the shop. I think I mentioned that earlier. His old the DA, and Jimmy feels bad talking to the DA, all that sort of stuff. Yo Ma came to my wedding. Right on, man. And that is our episode of Better Call Saul. Let's jump in the chat a little bit more before we call it. He was so good and awesome. Watched Rocky 2 for the first time. Next guy I buy will have airbags. No, it won't, Mike. Corey says, I wonder if Hector suspects Nacho. He'll figure out Mike. He figured out Mike without an issue. That is a good question. I wonder if that is one of the things we're not looking at. This is all part of a ruse to bring out Nacho, that Hector kind of smells a rat in this situation because Hector's a smart guy and kind of is trying to set up Nacho in some way to be shown to be guilty. Or it could be, but most likely, unlike most other shows, it's probably something we haven't even thought of yet. And that's what I love about Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan and the whole team on Better Call Saul is they sit there and they think about things. They write things on board. They really are very selective on trying to not shock you, but come at things from an angle that you wouldn't immediately look at. And I feel like that's what this is so much fun to do, and why I love getting all you guys in the chat, sharing your guys and gals in the chat, sharing your thoughts about what possibly things could mean, because it's so much fun to analyze all the what ifs and what have yous of Better Call Saul. KLC says Nacho is so dead. Hector is the leader of the Salamanca drug cartel right now. He is one of the leaders with that other guy too, the dude at the, or is he already dead? Because did that whole situation already have? There's that dude that's Hector's partner that Gus ends up killing with the whole thing. Is that guy still alive? Is this post that? Yeah, this is post that. So yes, I believe Hector's probably the only leader of the cartel, or the main leader of the cartel right now. Weren't there 3 leaders? Corey said this whole mess will lead to Gus somehow. Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. The other guy, I think this is post Gus killing them. Oh God, I'm fucking so curious. Now I have to watch that episode of the pool scene and all that stuff. I don't know when that necessarily happened. That's why I feel like I would have liked to see Apollo's by now, just in passing, driving past Apollo's, just to know that Apollo's is out there. Like, has that happened yet? Has Gus kind of taking over and being a part of the connected with the Salamanca family, has all that happened? Because remember, there's that point where Gus goes down to visit Salamanca and kind of make the deal with him, or does that happen on God, it's been way too long since I've watched Breaking Bad. So it's all sort of one big hodgepodge. If anyone is watching this or watching this live or watching this on replay, and you can kind of correct me on the Breaking Bad time frame logic, that would be amazing. And I can't wait for my Breaking Bad rewatch. And as soon as Better Call Saul is over with this summer, I'm going to do another Breaking Bad rewatch, because I feel like this season is adding so much more fuel to the universe and so much more depth to our Better Call Saul universe. It's really exciting shit. Gus' partner died in 1989. Okay, so this is way after that. Great show. Got to real life, raised by her ugly head. Don't tell her I said that. Oh my gosh. That was 1999, I think, since KLC. Gary, you are fucking amazing with the fact checks, buddy. Cannot thank Gary, who's a new name I haven't seen in the chat before, maybe only a few times. Gary 200, huge thank you for jumping in the chat today and fucking doing some major awesome fact checking. Also have to say a couple huge thank yous to some of our friends. Got to say big, awesome thanks to Big J for our new caller. And also, I think we had another new caller that was asking about Rick earlier in the episode. I forget what the name was but our caller that asked if I thought Rick was going to die. Thank you for calling. As always, thank you to KLC for another amazing dynamite call. We've got Gary and we got Gary, Corey Mitchell, and Critch in the chat room. A lot of people in the chat room right now, but you guys, as usual, have kicked some ass on these Better Call Saul podcasts and really added a lot of extra perspective to these scenes that I wouldn't have looked at things the way I looked at it without getting to share the thoughts with you guys. And ultimately, this is just a show that causes so much amazing analysis paralysis and looking at it and analyzing it. And I cannot wait to do more next week. I haven't decided. I had a lot of fun coming out here this afternoon, getting to talk to you. It's still on the level of whether it's still kind of one of those flexible things. If you haven't already, join the FOP Friends of Phil. You can find a link in the group below. It seems like they fixed the chat room issue now too, that the chat rooms are opening up right when the event starts. So I will always try to post at least the day of the show on that Monday morning, whether it will be in the evening or the day after, so you guys can prepare in that sense. I'll try not to make it the last minute, so I'll try to post some stuff the day before, because to be honest with you, I like doing it both. I like doing it during the day and at night. Most of the time they will be at night after the show, but occasionally I like getting the new group of people and different groups of folks that can't always check us out at nighttime. So I like excuses to podcast during the day. Plus, I am a day walker as well. I like podcasting in the morning before I'm, all dealing with tons of bullshit for the day. It's fun to come out here and you awesome people to be the first people I talk to in the day. So everybody, thank you so much for checking out this show. Sam, welcome back. Gary said, I never made it to a live show. I always watch since you're the first and never had a chance to see this live. Awesome. Gary's making my point right now. That's why I like doing it in some alternate times. And I'll try to at least have a couple more of these in the day. In our last, what was this? Was this episode 5 or was this episode 4? This was episode 5, correct? And I'll try to have a few more of these kind of shows during the day so I can, yes, episode 5. From the 5 more episodes that we have, episode 5, episode 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, for the 5 more episodes that we have, I'll try to get a couple of them out. The day after too, so we can make sure we can get all of you guys back. It's a fine line. I have mixed feelings about it because it is fun to be able to wake up, read a little bit about the show, analyze it, and then come out. So Corey says, I wonder if Gail will show up at some point. That's a good fucking question. I do not like green eggs. I do not like green eggs and ham. Sam, I am. Sam is back. Jose, welcome. Gary, we got so many people. Thank you so much, everybody, for jumping in the chat here today. Thank you so much, and for sharing all your thoughts about this episode. And if you're watching this later in the week, make sure you share your thoughts about Better Call Saul and what you think of this season so far. Everybody, Sam, welcome back. Hope everything went well in the dentist. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us joining me this week to talk about some Better Call Saul. I'll be back next week, either Monday evening or Tuesday afternoon early. to talk about Better Call Saul. As I said, I'll post that event. You can look on the channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button. You can always email me at igotissuesman@gmail.com. Tweet me at igotissuesman. Any questions, you can call 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 781-990-8509 to leave a voicemail. Just let me know what show it's about, or if you just talk about the show, I'll figure out what show you want to do that. And like I said, you can text and call that line 24 hours a day. And I believe there's like a 3-minute, they cut you off at 3 minutes, but if you have longer than 3 minutes, just keep going with it. Just push your questions through. I don't care how long, how many messages you leave. It's a Google Voice number, so it just keeps going forever. And that number will exist as long as Google Voice exists for the show. Eventually, we hopefully will get some sort of phone queue system going on. I'm going to email Corey over the next couple of weeks or so for some information on how to set things like that up. So, but for now, that will be a number, and that number will always exist in some way, shape, or form as a leave voicemail line. So everybody, again, thank you so much. Tom, welcome, Tom. Jose, thank you for having us over. Thank you guys for coming over and sharing your Tuesday afternoons with me, or whatever time of day you guys happen to be watching this, or whatever time zone you happen to be in when watching this. So if any of you guys are in the East Coast of the United States, I hope this helped you guys through a little bit of your work day, or if anyone's at work right now, I hope this silliness helped get you through work a little bit more, and so that we don't get into too many traps of the Kim Wexler working too hard all the time. But everybody, thank you so much. I will talk to you all next time. Corey has to go back to Dragon's Age. KLC back to the old grind for me. Tom says, great to meet everyone. Jose says, you too, Tom. Corey says, awesome show. These are always fun and entertaining. Great to have all of you guys. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.